We will live to Venezuela. President Nicolás Maduro hosts his counterpart from Colombia, Gustavo Petro. Venezuela, as an official ceremony is held and the President of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, is welcoming his Colombian counterpart to the Miraflores Palace, where they will hold a meeting as the both nations continue to strengthen ties. We're watching the images from the Miraflores Palace and Caracas as the President of Venezuela received his Colombian counterpart, Gustavo Petro. We're listening to the letters of the national anthems of both countries as the official ceremony starts of the welcoming for continued strengthening the ties of fraternity and friendship between both countries, a relationship that has grown since Gustavo Petro took office as President of Colombia. Venezuela and Colombia have reapproached their ties, the historic ties of friendship and cooperation since this happened, with the reopening of the borders and also the re-establishment of diplomatic ties between both nations. In the coming of the days, they have continued working to strengthen, to better the relationships between them with different treaties, and also in support. Venezuela has been host of the talks for peace, of the policy of peace that has been leading Gustavo Petro since he became president. The leaders are expected later to hold this after meeting in the Miraflores Palace in the city of Caracas, and they are expected to discuss issues of bilateral interest and the strengthening of ties between both nations. Upon his arrival at the country, Petro was received with honors at the Simón Bolívar International Airport in La Guaira by the Venezuelan Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ivan Gil, and the Ambassador of Colombia in Venezuela, Milton Rengifo. The President of Colombia also took the opportunity in this context to visit the 19th International Book Fair, Philben 2023, at its headquarters in the military circle El Laguito. This happened before arriving here at the Miraflores Palace. During his participation at the book fair, that Gustavo Petro presented his book entitled One Life, Many Lives. He offers his impressions at the International Book Fair and Lecture Fair in Caracas in its 19th edition. He presented, as we were saying, his book One Life, Many Lives. In his words of commendations to the exemplary, Petro recognized the rise of progressive culture and literature from the hands of the revolutionary movements and the rise of leftist thoughts in Latin America and his punishment against historical adversities, especially in Colombia. The head of state detailed during his participation at the book fair, which happened earlier in the day, that is being held here in Caracas also, and a book fair where international book fair where Colombia is the guest of honor. We are seeing live images from Caracas, the entrance of the Miraflores Palace, as President Nicolás Maduro received his Colombian counterpart, Gustavo Petro, and now they are greeting the officials that are present here during this official ceremony, as both nations continue in their work to strengthen mutual ties of friendships and cooperation. This is a relationship that has grown and that has brought many positive instruments for the region, not only for Venezuela and Colombia, but for the region. Is an important friendship that is being consolidated between the presidents of Colombia and Venezuela, Gustavo Petro and Nicolás Maduro. We are seeing both presidents enter the presidential palace, the Miraflores Palace in Caracas, where both leaders are expected to hold a bilateral meeting where they will discuss issues of common interest and will continue deepening on their cooperation agenda and peace agenda as part of the policies of peace and diplomacy of peace of both Venezuela and Colombia. We must remember that for the peace talks of the Colombian government and the regular army groups still present in Colombia. Now both leaders and the officials and their accompanying delegations are taking part of the cultural exhibition that is being performed. Let's listen. With music and joy, we're seeing how the beginning of this official encounter between the heads of states of Colombia and Venezuela is a moment of joy and happiness, as we're seeing in the expression. Even though we can see on the images that it's raining, everyone is happy that this is happening, that both Venezuela and Colombia, brotherly countries, are strengthening their ties of friendship, a process that has been being developed since Gustavo Petro assumed the presidency of Colombia, and since then, both nations have begun working together with the reopening of their embassies and borders to bring back the peoples of Colombia and Venezuela together. Now, this is all part of the context of an official visit of Gustavo Petro to Venezuela. This is not the first Gustavo Petro, since being president, has visited Caracas on several occasions as part of his agenda and President Maduro's agenda of diplomacy of peace.
Se le llama canta claro el que grita un pajarillo en tono de re menor. Y no le falla el galillo, el que tiene en la garganta melodía, matiz y brillo. Nuestro primer canta claro fue el coplero florentino, el que derrotara al diablo con sus versos asesinos. Un segundo canta claro, desde Palmarito vino Juan de los Santos Contreras, aquel que trilló el camino para que viniera Montoya, un cantaclaro genuino que en pueblos y caseríos se dejó escuchar su trino como el canto del jilguero sobre el paisaje ladino. José Ariel Pico de Oro, que del Samán es nativo, una de las voces recias que en el folclore han lucido, el ruiseñor de Atamaica y el tigre Antonio Castillo, el gran Armando Martínez y Argenis el agresivo. Y allá en Colombia también hay cantaclaros ladinos, Farfán, Centella y el Cholo, y Carlos Rico, mi amigo, gente grande del folclore, los admiro desde niño. Sería por esa razón que lo seguí por el trillo, llenando los requisitos, obtuve mi pergamino. También soy cantaclaro, nunca cambiaré mi estilo porque es un don natural que me asignó el Dios divino. Desde muy temprana edad he sido reconocido en todos los festivales en donde yo he competido, ganándome de la gente el respeto y el cariño. Por eso en el pie de la arpa a todo pulmón lo digo, que el grito de un cantaclaro tiene cierto parecido al pitio del toro padre para apartar los novillos. En el mundo del cantar muchas personas han querido tildarse de cantaclaro y en realidad no han podido. Son muchos los allegados y pocos los escogidos. Cantaclaros hay que verlos a capela y sin sonido, gritando en todos los tonos en un baile campesino sin que le falle la voz, mucho menos el oído, que no le pegue el sereno ni el polvillo del camino, tampoco que le haga falta algunos tragos de vino, porque el grito de un clarín es certero y efectivo, nunca tiene que fallar. Así ante amanecido de la llanura infinita he sido yo el elegido para llevar el estandarte del canto recio y altivo. Por eso soy cantaclaro, el último que ha nacido.
Allí lo teníamos, un ambiente de cordialidad, se vive este sábado en el Palacio
So we continue seeing the live images as the Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro received his Colombian counterpart Gustavo Petro. After this cultural event, now both leaders are expected to hold an important meeting where they will continue discussing issues of bilateral interest and continue to strengthen the ties of cooperations that both nations have been developing since Petro assumed the presidency, and with the resumption of the diplomatic relations between both countries and the reopening of the borders. Venezuela has played a key part since Petro assumed the presidency of hosting this cycle of talks between the Colombian government and the ELN, as Petro continues to advance his policy of peace in Colombia, a policy of peace that Maduro has fully supported and believes is necessary not only for Colombia but also for the well-being and development of the region itself. Both presidents enter the palace where they will have these discussions as they continue to strengthen their relationship of friendship and the strength of cooperation between Latin American countries as they look for an inclusive Latin America in the future, a zone of peace in the region to continue for the prosperity of the people. Stay tuned with TeleSUR English as we continue to update the developments of this news as it unfolds. Stay tuned with us.